his goal.
And Errol Burnett joins me now from Washington. Okay, Errol, let's start with this travel ban. A federal judge in Seattle ruled it unconstitutional. The White House has vowed to fight that ruling. How are they going to do that?
Well, the first step for them seems to be containing their frustration. Immediately after that decision was made, the White House released a statement calling the judge's decision outrageous. 10 minutes later, they released the same statement with that word removed. This morning, President Trump, as he's wont to do when he's upset, sent out a tweet storm calling the decision ridiculous. So that's step one, calm those nerves. Step two will be to get this decision overturned. The White House says the Department of Justice can do this through an emergency stay. That's the expectation. President Trump says that is what will happen next. And the third step here will be to watch for appeals, because by now we've seen a number of federal judges challenge or limit parts of Donald Trump's executive order on the basis that it's unconstitutional. The White House, every step of the way, has defended his action as well within his rights as president and his abilities to control immigration. The only entity that can make the final decision on that would be the Supreme Court. So if the Department of Justice steps in with an emergency stay, if there are appeals to that move, we very well could see this make its way up to the Supreme Court. So the fight over this executive order is nowhere near over, Rena.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way. I want to ask you, though, also about President Trump ordering this review of financial regulations and ended a rule that requires financial advisors to actually put their clients' financial interests first. What can you tell us about how this is going down?
Well, this is interesting because, as we all know and remember, Donald Trump campaigned with those massive rallies around the country in the upper Midwest, the Plain States, on this policy of putting the American worker first and the working class before the corporate interests of Wall Street. This executive action, which is relatively vague, but it essentially encourages the Treasury Department to take another look at Dodd-Frank. These were financial regulations put into place after the financial crisis in 2008, which protected the consumer. As you mentioned, it included things like creating the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's an entity which has made credit card statements more clear to read and to understand as far as how much you would be paying if you only submitted the minimum payment. And when President Trump signed this executive order, he said it's basically to help his friends. He said that I know so many people, friends of mine, who have nice businesses and they can't borrow money. They can't just get any money because banks won't let them borrow it because of rules and regulations related to Dodd-Frank. And he's now saying that this act, cut a lot out of Dodd-Frank, which essentially would loosen regulations on banks. It would allow financial institutions to take more actions and potentially allow them to be more risky. It has empowered investors. So as far as how this will roll out, that is yet to be determined, but it's not likely to be something that those on Main Street will appreciate.
All right, Errol Burnett in Washington. Errol, lots to follow for you there. We'll let you go.
Yeah.